Hey guys, Matt Richard here, getting into lesson 3. If you're just tuning in, maybe you missed the first 2 lessons or you just skipped them, I advise you go back and watch them. But if you did, what this is a series that I wanted to do. It's for beginners, but it also kind of fills the gap if you're like myself, a rock player who maybe has been playing a number of years, but you skipped over or just missed some of the foundational theory stuff that I think is really important when you start to get into more interesting solos and learning how to play outside of the typical boxes and sweeps that we learn when we're sort of growing up just playing rock music. This is the stuff I feel is really necessary and will help you. And it's not a ton of memorization. It's not a lot of homework. So I wanted to do these really short, sort of concise videos to help you guys. So lesson 3, let's get into it. We talked about lesson 1. We learned our whole, half scale formula. And that taught us how to build a major scale. So we picked a note. We picked C. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C is created by just taking C and jumping the appropriate whole or half step to get a C major scale. We also learned the numbering system that go to these notes, and I asked you guys to memorize when we're talking about a scale that, the 1 is always major, the 2 is minor, the 3 is minor, the 4 is major, the 5 is dominant, the 6 is minor, and the 7 is, we're going to go with minor 7 flat 5 for now. We're going to get into some of the other things you can play over this chord later, but for now let's just call it minor 7 flat 5. And then as you can see way over here in the end, I wrote 1 or 8, it's the octave. It just starts over again at this point, right? So you do your 7 notes and then we reset on number 8, we start all over. So we should know all that stuff. Definitely refer to the blog if you want more detailed diagrams of all this stuff. I have all of that in the blog. The link is in the video, in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, it's under there. If you're watching on Facebook, it'll be in the comment section. It's all in there, okay? So we got to this point, and what we did last lesson is we took it one step further, and we said, okay, let's learn how to make a chord. And we took a, let's use a different color because that could be confusing for you guys. So let's do this. Let's go with green. We took the first, and we learned we could skip a note, and we could skip a note. We learned we do 3 notes. We skip a note twice. We go C, skip a note to E, skip a note G. And when we do that, we get a C major chord, okay? And we tested the theory out. We went to the guitar, and we started on a C note, and we did C, E, and G. Okay, it's a C, E, G, and then it's just another C. Right? C major, there it is, it works. The formula holds true. So now, where do we go from there? Well, as you'll notice from the title of the video, let's make some 7 chords. We're gonna skip another note. We're gonna jump one more. In this case, C, E, G, skip over to B, and we're gonna add the B. Now what that's gonna do is that's gonna give us a C major 7 chord. Big difference here, as you're about to hear. Regular major has the nice sort of normal, happy, we talked about those cowboy chords down here that we all learned. Ta-da! Well, if we add a B note, watch what happens. Now we get this. Okay, that's a B. That's the 7. So now instead of going C, E, G, and then just stopping and just playing another C, we're going to play C, E, G, B. There's a lot of fingerings for that chord. I'm playing it up here just for sort of, you can see the notes occur in order. If you go down here and grab this C, that's also a C major 7. You can hear it, right? A regular C major, a C major 7. Okay, so what does all this mean? Well, first of all, you'll notice I'm going to use some adjectives here, but I think for the most part they sort of work. I think major 7 chords are a lot jazzier sounding. They're a little more hip sounding. They're definitely more colorful. And that's sort of a good and a bad thing. When you're talking about rock music, the more notes you add, the further out you go with this formula. And you're probably guessing right now, well, what happens if I skip the note and add another note? Well, you're going to see C, you'd have to jump over C, you'd end up with a D. Well, you're back at the 2, right? But if you've ever seen where somebody illustrated like a chord with a 9, but that's all a 9 is. All a 9 is when you've jumped over enough and you've built a chord up, they're adding a note higher, and they've looped back around, and now they're adding the 2. But you wouldn't call it the 2, you call it the 9, because you want to do it in the next octave. If you put a D against a C, you end up with this really nasty sounding half-step stuff, and that doesn't sound very pleasing to the ear. So when you go off the whiteboard, so to speak, and you go C, E, G, B, if you had a D in there, you'd have a 9 also, okay? But we're gonna just talk about 7 chords right now, and that's what we're doing. We're going C, E, G, we're adding the 7th. That's the 7th. Just says you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Add the B. Let's try one more. Let's do it from A, okay? Let's take A. That is the 6, right? So and we know that's minor. 6 is minor, so we're gonna build an A minor 7, right? What do? We take A, we jump a note, we have a C, we jump a note, we just, loops back around, we just have to reset, come back to the beginning, so we get A, C, next is an E, right? Ace. What comes next? G. A, C, E, G, okay? So just like before, if we wanted to build an A minor chord, we got an A, that's the 5th, that's an E, that's the octave, that's a C. Okay, there's no G in there. Okay. Now I've got a G. See, before we know this minor shape, we're just playing A, C, and E. If I get rid of this octave, which this is just a double of this, we're just playing A twice. When we play this shape, we're kind of barring, and we're playing 12, 14, 14, but we're only playing A, C, and then we got another A. Well, if we pick this up, we automatically add the G. Now we got an A minor 7. So it's really that easy to go from regular A minor, which is, this old guy, and get a minor 7 chord, get an A minor 7. Okay, pretty cool. This works, of course, across all keys, across all major scales. And so today, sort of homework would be, take your formula, grab some notes, maybe take G, build a G major scale, and then start on G, skip every other note till you get 4 notes, and you can build the major and minor 7 chords. And just like we learned in the last lesson, check your blog for the chart if you didn't memorize it yet. 1 is major, 2 is minor, 3 is minor. Well, you're going to end up with a major 7 on the 1, a minor 7 on the 2, a minor 7 on the 3, a major 7 on the 4, a dominant 7 on the 5. Remember, 5 is dominant. A minor 7 on the 6, a minor 7 flat 5 on the 7 is what we're going to play for now. And then, of course, it all starts over again. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that's helpful as far as sort of the next step in building chords. We went from not knowing how to build anything, to learn how to build a scale, to learn how to build basic 3-note chords, to how to build 7 chords, which, again, you heard how much jazzier they sound. Really, really cool, very musical. How do we use this stuff? That's what we're going to get into very, very soon. I'm going to start to tie all this together and show you guys how, even in a rock context, this can be helpful. Blues, it applies to blues too. Blues is not just about the pentatonic scale, as much as a lot of people would like you to believe. It is the foundation, but there's a lot of neat stuff we can do once we get our head around all this stuff. And there's not much more stuff before we get to the fun stuff, which is making music. Okay, so again, Matt Richard, hope you enjoyed the next lesson in the series. Of course, I'll be back soon with the next version of this, and we'll take it a step further and really start to have some fun making some different sounds with our chords and our solos. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Later.